Hello, Walking the Ropes fans. I am Blake, and welcome to the next episode of Walking the Ropes Wrestling Review for AEW Dynamite, June 11th, 2021. In today's show, we have Cody making a special announcement, an amazing trios match, the Pinnacle responds to the Inner Circle, a dominant title match, and a hard-hitting main event. But before all that, make sure to check out Walking the Ropes linktree in the description for all things Walking the Ropes. Now, to start off Dynamite, we have Big Money Matt in the middle of the ring, and he's calling out Christian Cage and telling him that, Angelico's going to end his career because there's nothing that Christian Cage can do that Angelico can't. And so Christian Cage comes out, and we get that match. We get Christian Cage versus Angelico, and he has the Hardy family office in his corner as well. And Angelico takes control of this match. He's dominating Cage, doing everything, has an answer for everything Cage throws at him. And it just is really good to show this new talent is able to actually work really well. And Cage starts to make his comeback, but it seems like Angelico just has the answer for everything. He gets distracted by the Hardy family office and just in general, the whole match seemed to roll around Angelico actually being in control, like kind of almost implying, maybe Christian can't do it. But then we get crazy moments where, Cage hits a swinging DDT from the top rope, and we get and Angelico goes for a dive, but Cage gets his feet up, and then he's able to get a near fall from that. And Cage goes for the kill switch, but Angelico fights out, and they go back and forth more, and then Cage hits his pendulum kick where he goes into the corner and swings his feet up as the other person's running in. Then he hits a European uppercut, followed by the kill switch, and 1, 2, 3, Christian Cage defeats Angelico. My Malteser scale for this match, I gave it a 3 out of 5 because it's a good match, but it's not like it's one of those ones where you're gonna sit down and watch it every single week. But if you want to learn basic, or not, I guess not learn, but watch really good wrestling, this would be a really good match to start with because it's two technical people with very different styles going at it, and just a great match for sure to open Dynamite. And after that match, we have Jack Evans and Matt Hardy jumping Cage, and Hardy hits the Twist of Fate twice, I believe, or goes to hit it the second time, and Jungle Boy comes out to make the save. Next, we have Cody Rhodes is out to make an announcement, and Tony Schiavone tells us that the announcement is Brock Anderson is going to make his debut with Cody next week in a tag team match. Now, for those who don't know, Brock Anderson is the son of the Four Horsemen, Arn Anderson. He's if you didn't see Dynamite, Brock looks identical to Arn, and I just can't wait to see him get in the ring because just a really, really good looking young talent, just looking ready to go. Cody boosts Brock, talking about how he's going to steal the show and whatever. But QT comes out, and he's had enough of this whole situation. He says he's sick of the nepotism of Cody and asks, well, does Brock want Pyro now as well? And QT says the fans are what makes Cody special, and he wants to whip Cody's ass in front of everyone in a South Beach strap match. And Cody starts to take off his belt and says, we'll do it right now if you want to. QT looks to run, but then, he being the dastardly heel he is, he kind of leaves the ring, hops back in, smashes Arn with the belt of his, and Brock grabs QT, takes him down, and just starts a beat down until the swarm of refs can separate them. I'm really looking forward to Brock's debut. He's looking really special there. And next we get a trios match. We have Penta El Cero Miedo, Pac and Eddie Kingston versus the Young Bucks and Brandon Cutler. This match, all honesty, stole the show for me. It was just a perfect match, almost exactly what you would expect it to be. Um, and there's nothing more enjoyable than watching good story playing out in wrestling in the ring. Because through this whole match, you had Brandon Cutler being the bad guy, but only because the Young Bucks are telling him to be the bad guy, and so you can see the conflict in him. And you know, you have the Bucks being their nasty selves and just super kicking everyone whenever they can, just to make their point home that they are the best and that nobody is going to top them. We get to start this match, we have Pac and Matt in the ring, but Pac is pointing at Brandon because he's really mad that Brandon cost him the match that he did last week. And so Pac beats on Matt till, and then basically kind of tosses him over to his corner, and we get Brandon into the ring, and Pac, Penta, and Kingston just beat on Cutler for the first 5-10 minutes of this match. Just, I'm amazed at what Cutler was able to take in this match. Um, Pac also, it during all of this time, he will like taunt the Bucks with his moves and whatever. Uh, and once they were done with Kingston, or not Kingston, Cutler, they literally tossed him to the feet of the Young Bucks, and then the Bucks kind of come in and they just get beat down by Pac, who's just looking super dominant. We have Pac going to hit the ropes after Nick had been taken outside, but Nick pulls his feet outside and starts to beat on him there. Uh, we get Matt and Nick in firm control for a long time. And we get Pac starting to come back, and with Matt going for a swinging DDT, but Pac just chucks him, and finally makes the, I'll admit it, begrudging tag to Eddie Kingston. Uh, and Kingston comes in and he just takes out every single person you could see. And he makes a tag to Penta, and Penta hits a crossbody on the Bucks. And the Bucks go for, you know, a double super kick on Penta, but Penta moves and they hit Cutler. You know, we then get Cutler. He's outside. He's trying to fix like his face because it's broken. We have Nick going for his Sia kick, and Penta ducks and he kicks Cutler again. And Penta gets a near fall thanks to a save from Cutler, but it was just it was probably going to be a 3 if it weren't for Cutler. We have Pac going for the Black Arrow again, but he stopped because he's kind of distracted by Brandon. But Brandon himself was stopped by Eddie Kingston. Brandon was going for the same sort of thing he did last week. He had the camera in his hand and he was going to smash Pac off the top rope from the Black Arrow, but Kingston stopped him and sent him into the barricade. We have Penta hitting a step-up suicide dive on Nick and Cutler on the outside. And then during that, we had Pac hitting the Black Arrow and locking in the Brutalizer while Nick tries to stomp on him and just get him to do anything to break it up. And we get another dive to the outside on Nick and Cutler. But then inside, we see Matt getting a near fall, and Pac goes to take control. But the Bucks and Cutler hit the power bomb kick into the corner, and Cutler goes for a big elbow drop, misses, and Kingston literally just knocks out Cutler, and Pac makes the pin for the win. We have Pac and Penta El Cerramiento and Eddie Kingston defeating the Young Bucks and Brandon Cutler. This match, just an absolute show stealer, all honesty. I gave it a 4.25. It's just a really good match. There's nothing wrong with it. Perfect storytelling from the Bucks and I guess it's Death Triangle and Eddie Kingston. And then moving on from there, we have the Elite beating on everybody after the match, but with the Good Brothers coming out to help them out. But Frankie Kazarian comes in to make the saves, and he takes out Cutler, and yeah, just cleans house, basically. The next we get a showing of the conspiracy to screw Kenny out of the title. And basically all we get is clips of Kenny's match against Pac and Orange. Nothing really to show us that he's being screwed over. We get the Pinnacle coming out to speak on their loss, and Dax starts out by, just outright saying, yeah, we lost. It didn't go the way we wanted it to. But he said, for FTR, something clicked for them. That Proud and Powerful and FTR, they're very similar, but the difference is Proud and Powerful lost their edge and FTR never did. And the difference, the big difference between the Pinnacle and the Inner Circle is that the Pinnacle is family, because family has been together for 2 weeks and loses, and yeah, I guess it's been 2 months, but even still, they haven't really been around long enough to call themselves family. I don't really follow that very much, but anyway, we have Sean Spears talking about Sammy, says he's got lucky. There's no way he would have beat him in a regular match. He's just a glorified indie star. Then we get Wardlow responding to what Hager called him out on. And Wardlow accepts the MMA cage fight. And I believe that'll be next week or the week after, depending on. I think they said it was 2 weeks with Hager, and then when he challenged Wardlow, and then I think this week Wardlow said that in a week. So we should get that cage match next week, but if not, it'll be the week after that. And then we get, Wardlow. He's trying to sell that, Hager's obsessed with him, and he says, you can't beat me because in any world, because when you're across the ring from Wardlow, you're in Wardlow's world. We're gonna probably get a Wardlow Wayne's World crossover. Probably not, but my brain says that. We have MJF says being the best and being so young is such a lot of pressure. He says he used to idolize Jericho, but now Jericho's not on his level, and that he's gonna deny the match from Jericho. There's no reason for him to take it. So he moves on and talks to Sammy. He says Sammy doesn't belong in the same ring as me, because he's better than you and you know it. And then we get Chris Jericho. He's up on the big screen and he says, "You know what happens when you don't give the Inner Circle what they want? Uh, and that they were truly bested with the what MJF was saying there. But if MJF wants to talk about that, he can do that with his Pinnacle buddies on their walk home, as the Inner Circle then proceeds to destroy the Pinnacle's limo with baseball bats, hammers, the lot, destroying it, smashing the windows out, breaking the mirrors off. But they just seem to turn, and they see Jake Hager in a forklift, and he just drives it into the side of the limo, picks it up, smashes it down, and I think it's safe to say that limo is not going to be used anymore. Next, we have Darby responding to Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. He says he's not going to replace Sting. He wants it to be a handicap match. And Sting looks at Darby and he says, I want you to stay home. I don't need you this week or next week. I'm going to do this on my own. And Sting goes and says, well, you were TNT champion before I even got here. Why would I... there's no reason for me to... There's no reason for anybody to argue that you haven't done it on your own. Darby just looks at him and says, I really just want you to stay home this time. And Sting says he won't. So, yeah. We have a really, really heart-wrenching promo for Evil Uno. He really wants to make Mr. Brodie Lee proud of him by winning the TNT Championship, because that was the only championship Mr. Brodie Lee won in AEW, and if the Dark Order can reclaim it, then Evil Uno, while admittingly saying it's a bit selfish of him, he really wants to be that person to do it. So next we have the TNT Championship match, Miro versus Evil Uno. And you know what? This match is a really solid match. I honestly thought it was going to be a squash match and that Miro was going to do 4 or 5 moves and Uno was going to just lose. But no, we got a full-on proper title match with we had Miro in control for a lot of it. But it's only when the Dark Order comes out to help and support Uno, he starts to make this comeback. We have Stu and Alan Angels. They're coming out and they push, not push him, but they encourage him, Uno, back into the ring right before the 10 count. And Miro, he's not a fan of that. And he just takes out Stu and Angels. Angels actually just kind of runs away, but Stu gets taken out, and it was a brutal, brutal shot for sure. And when Stu, or sorry, not when Stu, when Angels goes to run, Miro grabs the top turnbuckle, tears it off, and tosses it at him. So now we have a top turnbuckle exposed as well. And using this confusion, we have Uno hitting just massive elbows and just starting to roll against Miro here. Uno's hits the big boot, a very Brody Lee-esque boot, and then he hits a Senton Atomico for a 1 count. Just brutal. A 1 count after all that. And then we get the rest of the Dark Order coming out, led by Mr. Brody Lee's son, -1. And Uno just beating on Miro. He's doing anything he can, just doing whatever it takes to take this title from him. Miro rolls up Uno, but he kicks out and sends Miro right into that top turnbuckle, and he rolls him up, and he gets a really close near fall. And Uno sets up and hits the discus lariat, the Brody Lee discus lariat, but it just kind of bounces off Miro, and he beats on Uno and locks in game over, and that's it. Miro defeats Evil Uno to retain the TNT Championship. For my Malteser scale, I gave this a 3.75 out of 5. It's a really good title match, and if you've never seen Evil Uno in a singles match, this match just proves he's more than a tag guy. He is a solid wrestler, and I can't wait to see more from him in AEW. We get a little vignette for Andrade El Idol. And it's basically just video clips of him walking around, being fancy and stuff like that. We get Tony Schiavone bringing out Kenny Omega and Don Callis, and he asks how exactly that video shows the conspiracy. And Don says it's a con job to take this title from Kenny Omega. And he calls, Jungle Boy a one-hit wonder, and Kenny's saying, I'm supposed to sell this as a real challenge, but, I guess I'll try. And he compliments Jungle Boy, and but he says that, there is something missing with Jungle Boy. Something that doesn't put him on that same level as Kenny. And Callis tells us what that is. He says it's Jungle Boy doesn't have the guts to get in the ring with Kenny. And Jungle Boy comes out and he gets in the ring. And he's taunting, or Kenny taunts Jungle Boy, just kind of, oh, you're not really that big, blah, blah, blah. And Jungle Boy says Kenny talks too much. And Kenny goes to hit him, but Jungle Boy gets the upper hand for a moment until Kenny rakes the eyes and just sends Jungle Boy into the ropes. But he bounces off and goes to lock in the snare trap. But, Kenny Omega's got the Young Bucks, and they come out to make the save, and Jungle Boy just kind of leaves. We get Jade Cargill and Smart Mark Sterling talking about Jade's future. They say Jade has a family to feed, and they have expensive tastes. And their first step in making sure they get constant money flow is making sure everybody keeps her catchphrase out of people's mouths because, quote, she's that bitch. We then get Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page talking about Darby wanting to fight by himself. Says it's a very dumb move, but they'll take it anyways. And Page says it's only up from here for the Men of the Year. And I feel like that's their new tagline, their new tag name. It seems to be a fitting work for them, definitely. We have a singles match. We have Lance Archer versus Chandler Hopkins. It's good on Hopkins. He tries to jump Archer before the match even starts, but Archer just catches him and hits him with a big choke slam. And then kind of tosses him around the ring a little bit, hits Blackout, and gets the win. Lance Archer defeats Chandler Hopkins in about as long as it took me to describe it. In my Malteser scale, I gave it a 1.5. I mean, it moves Archer along, showing that, just because he lost to Miro does not mean he's a loser by any means. He is still a very tough competitor, and this was all that was. It's a solid storyline match. We then get the Wingmen challenging Orange Cassidy to a match. Should be interesting. We get a singles match. We get Nyla Rose versus legit Layla Hirsch. And Vicky Guerrero, to start this match, she put a step stool on the stage before Hirsch came out. And Hirsch just tosses that step at them. And Nyla takes control of this match, but Layla's using her wrestling ability. So if Nyla goes for a slam, Layla will lock in an armbar, but Nyla will just kind of slam her or get into the ropes. We get Layla knocking Nia to the outside, and she goes for a dive, but is caught and just slammed onto the apron. Nyla hits a huge knee, gets a near fall out of that, and just takes control pretty much from there. And she sends Layla outside and hits a German suplex and a big knee. That was Layla, actually, who came back in and hit the German suplex. It was a really nice German. She kind of, it was a release German and sent Nyla across the ring. It was a pretty nice shot to see. And then she locks in an armbar, but Nyla picks her up, slams her down, and she kind of then props her up on the top rope, but Layla fights out, and Nyla knocks her down with a big headbutt, and Layla does come back, goes for a sunset flip, but Nyla then just kind of stops her momentum and hits the Avalanche Beast Bomb for the win. We have Nyla Rose defeating legit Layla Hirsch. For my Malteser scale, I gave it a 3.25 out of 5. Again, it's a solid match, but it was more to make Nyla look to the competitive edge on Britt Baker for when they eventually have their challenge or their title fight. We get Tony Schiavone talking with Britt and Reba backstage. And she says, at first she was mad that Nyla ruined her celebration, but then she realized, Nyla looks good flipping burgers, and maybe she should do that full time. And Britt just says, she'll add her to the list of jealous bitches in the back. The women in AEW seem to like to use that word a lot. Very interesting. And finally, in the main event of tonight, we have a tag team match. Team Taz, Brian Cage, and Powerhouse Hobbs versus Dark Order's 10 and Hangman Adam Page. To start this match, it's just back and forth with Cage and Page. They're just beating on each other until 10 is tagged in, and he starts to actually roll a little bit against Cage. But Hobbs, being the man he is, he takes advantage and kicks 10 when he goes to hit off the ropes, and then he and Cage start to double team on 10, and Hobbs just takes control from there, and they just kind of go back and forth, tagging in and out, beating on 10, But 10 starts to fight back. He makes the comeback. It seems like he's not going to be able to make a comeback. But he does. He makes the tag to Paige, and Paige comes in, hits the clothesline, but just kind of bounces off of Hobbs again. Uh, you know, just these big brutes are all over AEW, so it's really cool to see that we can have this different style all over the place. And we get Cage going for a power bomb onto the post, but Paige actually sends him, so he flips it into a Hurricane Rana, and sends Cage into the post, and then pops up to the top rope and hits a moonsault for a near fall. And we have Hobbs hitting a crossbody for a near fall, and Cage hits a Tiger Fate kick, sending, I believe it was 10 to the outside, and Paige fights back out of all this and gets a near fall on Hobbs. 10 comes in through with the distraction and locks in the full Nelson on Hobbs, but he fights out, makes the tag, and they just kind of go back and forth until there's a distraction from Hook, and he's got the ref tied up, and Ricky tosses the FTW championship to Cage, but he just tosses it across the ring and basically says, "I'm not going to do that." Ricky gets up on the apron and actually slaps Cage across the face. And so Cage gets out of the ring and chases Ricky down the ramp. And Hobbs fights out of yet another full Nelson, hits a spine buster. Huge. It looks like it was probably going to finish it, but Paige makes the save. We get 10 hitting the ripcord lariat and Paige hitting the buckshot lariat for the win. We have Dark Order's 10 and Hangman Adam Page defeating Brian Cage and Powerhouse Hobbs. Really, really solid match. Absolutely. Nothing wrong with it anywhere at all. Just one of those matches you could probably go back and watch it again and again. For my Malteser scale, I gave it a 4 out of 5. It was a really, really good match, but it wasn't my favorite match of the night. My match of the night goes to the Young Bucks and Cutler versus, I'm going to call them the former friends, because they used to be a tag team at one point, but they're not anymore. And yeah, my segment of the night, I gave it to the Pinnacle interrupting the Inner Circle, because it seemed like that was the it seems like that's the best story wise what's going to happen. Continuing on, we're gonna get more Inner Circle, Pinnacle. They're nowhere near done with each other. And my wrestlers of the night are the Young Bucks, because while they've been doing this gimmick for a little while, it really kind of hit me here. They went from being the most cheered team on AEW television to being the most booed team on AEW television in less than 3 months' time. They have gone so into the deep end with this gimmick. They're doing everything perfect for it. Just absolutely amazing with the fact that the Young Bucks were able to get the fans to turn on them so hard, just so that way we can enjoy wrestling the way we're meant to be. And you know what? That does it for today's episode. Thank you all for dropping into this edition of Walking the Ropes Wrestling Review. If you did enjoy that, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notifications whenever we upload. And I will make sure to see you in the next time.